Hello and welcome. You're watching India Today. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The encounter against terrorists holed up in the higher reaches of Anantnag continues. The nation has lost 4 brave hearts in the past 48 hours, battling Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Colonel Manpreet Singh, Sena Medal. Major Ashish, Sena Medal. Deputy Superintendent of Police Humayun Bhatt of Jammu and Kashmir Police and Rifleman Ravi. The operations have now intensified and there is rising clamour to stop playing even multilateral cricket series with Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror. Some are calling for banning Pakistan for terror like South Africa was banned for apartheid. But the question remains, will the nation speak in one voice? No cricket with Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror.
Pakistan killing our braves again. As Terroristan bleeds India, a massive nationwide chorus to punish its terror misadventure and stop playing cricket. Anger spilled out on the streets as angry protesters burnt effigy of Pakistan terror. Netizens are up in arms, mounting heat on BCCI to stop matches against Pakistani cricket team.
I think, whether it is cricket or it's cinema or it's any other field, there is just no reason why we should be having any kind of ties with that country.
Angry India says there would be no cricket terror tango and the country which backs terror should be boycotted from the world of sports.
What is the cost or the price of one Jawan when, we are placing entertainment first, our leisure first over the people who are taking care of us, who are at the front.
Crucially, the government too called for complete isolation of Pakistan.
जब तक हम अलग थलग नहीं करेंगे पाकिस्तान को, नहीं तो उनके लिए बिजनेस एज नॉर्मल, हाँ ये ठीक है, बॉलीवुड वाले आ जाएंगे हमारे यहाँ, क्रिकेट मैच खेलने वाले आ जाएंगे हमारे यहाँ, सब ठीक है, चंगा है जी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि अगर उसके ऊपर दबाव डालना है तो उसको अलग थलग करना पड़ेगा।
Several opposition members also backed shunning Pakistan.
जब आतंकी माहौल बनाती है पाकिस्तान तो उनके साथ किसी तरीके का संवाद नहीं होना चाहिए, स्पोर्ट्स ग्राउंड पे हो या किसी सोशल ग्राउंड पे हो, किसी कल्चरल ग्राउंड पे हो या किसी तरीके का बायलैटरल रिलेशनशिप हो।
BCCI Vice President Rajiv Shukla made it clear that there will never be bilateral series with Pakistan, but only matches under ICC tournaments.
Terrorism and sports cannot go hand in, but it had been taken a decision. It was a policy matter, and it had been decided that in international events, Pakistan will play with Pakistan.
India and Pakistan have not played a bilateral series since 2013, but they have faced each other in other tournaments at neutral venues. With Nitin Srivastav in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
For former Pakistan World Cup winning captain Imran Khan, cricket with India was jihad for Kashmir. Way back in 1978, Mushtaq Mohammad saw Pakistan's cricket win as victory of Muslims over Hindus. Shoaib Akhtar, Rawalpindi Express talks of Ghazwa-e-Hind. Shahid Afridi breaks television sets when he sees his daughter perform Aarti. Is this sportsman's spirit? Why should we play cricket with 50 shades of Hafiz Muhammad Saeed? Joining me on this special broadcast is General Ved Malik, former Chief of Army Staff. General Malik led India to victory in Kargil after Pakistan stabbed India in the back in Lahore. Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former top diplomat, understands Pakistan very well. Also with me is India Today's sports editor Nikhil Naz. But I want to begin by asking you, General Malik, India trusted Pakistan in Lahore 1999 and Pakistan stabbed India in the back. From 1999 to 2023, Ambassador Prabhu Dayal. Ambassador Dayal, is there any change in Pakistan's stance? What do you think? What do you make of this clamor to stop playing cricket with Pakistan? Should we stop playing cricket with Pakistan, Ambassador Dayal?
Gaurav, I think we have to think through our policy very carefully. Pakistani leaders have openly been saying for decades that they want to bleed India by 1,000 cuts. And they have carried out numerous terror attacks against us. Some of them, like the attack against our parliament in December 2001, the Mumbai terror attack, November 2008, the Pathankot attack of 2016, the Uri attack also of 2016,
yes,
the Pulwama attack of 2019. These are just some examples. Now, what should we do? As I said, Pakistan's policy of sponsoring terrorism against India is not going to change. We need to adopt a policy keeping this in mind.
Fair enough.
Firstly,
Sir, that background understood. Should we stop playing cricket with Pakistan?
No,
yes
please,
or no?
let me just
I
explain.
want to bring in our other guests. What's your take on this, Ambassador?
Well, if we stop playing cricket bilaterally, I'm totally in support of that.
That's already stopped.
However,
Multilaterally, bilateral cricket has
hold
stopped.
on. If we stop multilaterally, the biggest gainer will be Pakistan and the biggest losers will be our sportsmen. Gaurav, we should declare Pakistan a terrorist state, break off diplomatic relations, ask them to close down their embassy, wind up a high commission in Islamabad. But when it comes to international events, if we stop taking part, the only losers will be we ourselves.
I completely disagree with you. With due respect, Ambassador, the United States did not play the 1980 Moscow Olympics. Did the Americans lose? They did not. The Soviet bloc did not play 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Did they lose? They clearly did not. But they sent across a very strong message to each other. Sports cannot be more important than keeping Indians safe from Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. But be that as it may, Nikhil Naz, we no longer play bilateral cricket with Pakistan. South Africa was ostracized by the entire world for its policy of apartheid. No one played cricket with South Africa. Can Pakistan be ostracized from ICC for being a state sponsor of terror? Nikhil.
Well, Gaurav, at the moment it seems unlikely. That's simply because you gave the example of South Africa. I mean, that boycott happened after an intellectual, you had an intellectual debate over it, a political debate over it, and a lot of countries in that sense de-recognized South Africa as a country. And post which you had a situation where then you had a sporting boycott. So that actually followed this entire revolt that you had amongst the American professors. They came together and then decided to boycott South Africa as a country. The sporting boycott came much later. Now just look at the BCCI at the moment. Now BCCI at best what it can do is have that bilateral, cut off bilateral ties with Pakistan. What happens at an international level, and I think there is a lot of financial play at that, you'd have to that way galvanize all other countries then to come together and to ensure that Pakistan is not part of the ICC.
No, so
Can
let's
that
think
happen
big.
Realistically,
Let's
at the
think
moment, I
big.
doubt
Why
it.
not?
It
That's
doesn't
my
seem to
point.
be the scenario.
Why not? If G20, we are able to bring the whole world together, whether it's the global north or global south, why can't we bring the whole world together on Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror? Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, after all, Indians are dying and they've been dying for decades. And it's not just Indians. Pakistani Lashkar-e-Taiba is spreading terror in the United Kingdom. The 2005 London bombing traced back to Pakistan. Lashkar-e-Taiba sleeper cells in United States of America, Daud Gilani or David Coleman Headley. Major Tahavur Hussain Rana, Lashkar-e-Taiba sleeper cell in Canada. The Denmark Copenhagen bombing plot, Lashkar-e-Taiba from Pakistan. When terror tentacles from across the world are traced back to Pakistan, why not start creating awareness globally to have Pakistan banned? Is cricket, is money more important than lives of Indians, than the lives of the commanding officer, the company commander and the Jammu and Kashmir police officer we've lost?
Gaurav, I have served across the border in Pakistan and I have faced Pakistani hostility firsthand. As I told you, we must declare Pakistan a terrorist state. Have we done that? We must break off diplomatic relations with Pakistan completely. We have them presently at the level of Deputy High Commissioner. First, we should take these steps before thinking that we should stop our cricketers from playing against Pakistan in international tournaments. Gaurav, you have to prioritize action. That is what diplomacy is all about. I'm sorry you said you disagreed with me, but I must disagree with you also.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. Why haven't we done it so far? Pakistan started bleeding us in 1993 with Mumbai Blast, where we lost 257 people, 700 injured. And I'm not even going back to 1947 when Muhammad Ali Jinnah sent in raiders in Jammu and Kashmir and started bleeding India. So Pakistan has followed one consistent policy from 1947. 1993 blast, we lost lives. The blast that took place in 26/11, we've lost lives. Ahmedabad blast, we've lost lives. 2006, we've lost lives. Sir, we lose lives and we play cricket. Is cricket more important than losing lives? Ambassador Dayal, you first, and then I want to bring in Nikhil Naz.
Gaurav, is it more important to stop playing Pakistan in international tournaments? Or is it more important to declare them a terrorist state?
Do it
and
all.
Break off diplomatic relations?
Do it all.
I ask you to prioritize the action.
Do it all. Why aren't we doing it? Why are we sleeping? Why haven't we done it all along, sir?
I do not know, but I can tell you that it is better late than never. We should definitely take steps to break off diplomatic relations and tell the world why we are doing it. If we don't play them in an international tournament, Gaurav, the message will not go out so strongly as it will if we break relations with them and say that we want them to close their High Commission here, and we are closing their High Commission in our High Commission.
We've done that in the past.
Because Pakistan is a terrorist state.
We've done that in the past, and it really hasn't had the kind of results we wanted. But Nikhil, you know some of these Pakistani cricketers personally. Inzamamul Haq talking on camera about Pakistan cricket team's attempts to convert Brian Lara to Islam. You've heard Waqar Yunus saying Muhammad Rizwan offering namaz on the field in front of Hindus was the most satisfying moment for him. You've heard of Imran Khan saying cricket with India is like jihad for Jammu and Kashmir. Nikhil, this clearly is not sportsman spirit, or is it?
No, Gaurav, you're right. When you have former cricketers come out and say this, they clearly fall in terms of, the respect that you had for some of these Pakistani players, some of them legends, as you talk about. And that is something that was very unexpected from some of these legends. Having said that, when you see the current teams right now, there is close relations between the Indian players as well as Pakistani players on the field as of now. But these sort of stray statements that come out from Pakistan clearly do not go down well with anyone who supports cricket. I mean, a lot of Indians and Pakistani fans. I do not see this sort of animosity on the cricket field or in the cricket stadium at the moment. In fact, I see a lot of Pakistani fans who are massive and big fans of Indian cricketers. There are fans that I met that you've lost a game to India, but they say that's all right, since Virat scored 100, we only came to see Virat. So I think the ground reality on cricket in that sense is very different. It's going to be very tough to isolate Pakistan. I think the best you can do is cut off bilateral ties, which you've done for over a decade. To do it in a multinational tournament at the moment seems next to impossible. And
no, which means we are not thinking big enough, or we are not taking it seriously enough. We are not taking this seriously enough. We are happy to bleed. We are happy to leave. Because none of the cricketers are losing anyone from their families. None of the BCCI people who are minting money are losing anybody from their family. Ambassador Dayal, why should there be losses of life only in Jammu and Kashmir and in Chandigarh and in Panipat and other parts of our country? The common man loses life. But people, BCCI mints money. I think there is a major disconnect, which means our country, Ambassador Dayal, is still not on one page on Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror that's been bleeding us for decades. I mean, what do you make of Shahid Afridi? Shahid Afridi says that he broke his television set because his daughter was performing Aarti. That is the kind of hatred in their minds. I do not think that these are one-off statements. This is a pattern from Muhammad Mushtaq in 1978 to Shahid Afridi and Rawalpindi Express today.
Gaurav, that hatred in the average Pakistani mind is not going to go away. When I was posted in Pakistan, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated and sweets were distributed in the gully coochies of Pakistan. But I also saw that in 1983, when India won the Cricket World Cup, there was mourning in Pakistan. Then 1.5 years later, we beat Pakistan in Australia in the very, very big championship was organized. They couldn't believe it, and again they went into mourning. I want to thrash them in cricket. I want to thrash them in hockey. I want to thrash them in all sports and have them mourning. I don't want to boycott playing against them in international tournaments and find that we are isolated. You don't isolate Pakistan by not playing in international tournaments. You isolate Pakistan by breaking off diplomatic relations and telling the world why you've done that.
Is that what you also think, that we are not isolating Pakistan if we continue to play with them? I want to understand, Nikhil, no, sir, okay, with due respect, we are not even thinking that we can do it. We lack the courage. We lack the courage. If the world could boycott South Africa, which means the world had courage of conviction, we Indians lack that courage of conviction in thinking that we can isolate Pakistan, because perhaps, Nikhil, we still want to make money. We don't mind losing some lives that would indicate, as long as BCCI makes money, as long as everyone makes money at the back of India-Pakistan cricket. Because this mindset, Nikhil, is very clear.
For you to isolate, I mean...
Shahid Afridi, Shoaib Akhtar, Ghazwa-e-Hind, is that an isolated mindset? It's Ghazwa-e-Hind for Rawalpindi Express to defeat India.
No, Gaurav, while I completely agree with your sentiments, I also agree, if you ask my personal opinion, that, when you have cross-border terrorism, there is a bit of a disconnect watching Indian and Pakistani players play on the cricket field. I agree with all of that. How do you isolate Pakistan just at a cricketing level? I personally feel that, cricket in that sense is a soft target. You'd have to isolate them politically, diplomatically. Once you stop playing cricket with Pakistan, does that in any way tackle cross-border terrorism? That can be tackled militarily or politically or at a diplomatic level. So in that sense, cricket then becomes a soft target. You spoke about, US and Russia. I remember one of the greatest sporting contests that happened between the US and the Russia was in 1980 at the peak of Cold War. That was called the Miracle on Ice, where actually the Russian ice hockey team traveled to the US, and Russia was by far the best ice hockey team. They traveled to New York. They had that game, which probably at that time had the highest amount of viewership, and the US team beat Russia in that hockey game. That's well documented. So even at
and how many Russians were killing Americans? How many Russians were killing Americans? I'm sorry, how many Russians were killing Americans like the way Pakistanis are killing Indians, whether in Kargil war or 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, or in Ahmedabad, or in Bangalore, or in Jammu and Kashmir, or in Ayodhya, or in Hyderabad, in different parts of the country. Gentlemen, that is something we have to decide. What is more important, the money that we make from cricket or the lives of every Indian that can be saved? If India speaks in one voice and sends across that message, we will not have anything to do with the state sponsor of terror, that is Pakistan. Gentlemen, for joining me on this India Today special broadcast, many thanks. Do keep one thing in mind, 3 Indian bravehearts, they've lost their lives north of Pir Panjal. 1 Indian braveheart lost his life south of Pir Panjal. An Indian Army colonel, a major, and a DSP, they lost their lives. There's another encounter south of Pir Panjal where a rifleman and a canine unit dog, they've made the supreme sacrifices of their lives. This is what Pakistan is doing to your country and mine.
Former JNK DIG Ghulam Hassan Bhatt is composed and dignified in grief as he pays tribute to his son, Deputy Superintendent Humayun Bhatt. The DSP's death in the encounter with terrorists in Anantnag has left the valley in shock. A sea of mourners turned up on Thursday to pay their respects to Bhatt, whose mortal remains, draped in a tricolour, arrived at his village in Budgaon. Awaiting him was his wife, who stood with their 2-month-old daughter in her hands. The 29-year-old Jammu and Kashmir police officer had got married just last year. Mohali is in mourning. Colonel Manpreet Singh was commanding the 19 Rashtriya Rifles Battalion in the counter-insurgency operation when he was killed in action. Colonel Singh, who was recently honoured with a gallantry award, had been serving the army for the last 17 years. He is survived by his wife Jagmeet Grewal and 2 children, 6-year-old son Kabir and 2-year-old daughter Bani Kaur.
This entire family which is engulfed in grief, and this grief is not just limited to this family but this village, the entire state and perhaps the entire country. You can see the sort of emotions. There's not a single eye which is dry. Obviously, this is a huge setback for the family.
Last time राखी पे बात हुई थी, सुबह बात हुई थी. Next month उन्होंने आने की बात कही थी. अपने बेटे के बर्थडे पे उन्होंने आना था शायद. और 8-9 months रह गए थे इस पूरे उसमें यूनिट में 19 RR में. इसके बाद शायद उन्होंने अपनी पेरेंट यूनिट में चले जाना था. मेरे मदर जो है स्पेशली वो गिन गिन के दिन देखते थे कि चलो ये भी निकल गया मंथ, ये भी निकल गया मंथ, कि चलो 7-8 महीने रह गए, निकल जाएंगे.
Major Ashish Dhochak's mother says she has vowed not to shed tears. Her son died a hero fighting terrorists.
मेरा बेटा सारे देश का बेटा था, सारे देश का अच्छा हिस्सा था मेरा बेटा, सबका प्यारा था मेरा बेटा. मैं ना रोऊं, मैंने अपना बेटा पाल का देश ताई दे दिया था. मन तो पाल का अपना बेटा देश ताई सौंप दिया था.
Major Dhochak has left behind his wife Jyoti and 3-year-old daughter Vamika.
अगर आतंकवाद हमारे 2 बच्चों को शहीद करके जाता है तो हम उसके 4 करते हैं, 5 करते हैं, उससे कोई फायदा नहीं मिलने वाला. इसका बिल्कुल सफाई होना चाहिए.
The Resistance Front, a shadow group of the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the Anantnag terror attack. The forces are vowed to avenge the killing of the brave hearts. India salutes the sacrifice of the heroes. With Kamaljit Sandhu and Manpreet Sehgal in Mohali and Ashraf Wani from Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.